Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we discuss about the liquidity preference theory of interest. This is very important for your examination point of view and a definite question for external. Without this, there is no question paper. So it is very important. Liquidity preference theory of interest. Okay. So this was given by J.M. Keynes. In his he has written a book that was very famous, The General Theory of Employment and Interest and Money. General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, which was written by J.M. Keynes. So Keynes liquidity preference, he has explained about that the interest rate is purely based on the monetary phenomenon. Interest rate is based on the monetary phenomenon. When the interest rate payment for a pertaining for a liquidity. So liquidity means convenience of money holding the people. Simply we can say that liquidity means we can say that the holding money by the public. Okay. So according to this liquidity preference theory, the rate of interest is not the price which is bring into the equilibrium, particularly demand for capital or investment, and the supply of capital, we can say that that is savings. Okay, so here we have to remember, according to Keynes, the demand for money or the liquidity preference theory explains about the demand for money. Okay, so this demand for money may be demanded to satisfy the number of motives or to satisfy the households for the people, we can say that. Okay, why we are demanding the money, demand for money, we are telling. Okay, liquidity preference theory explains about the demand for money. Okay, according to Keynes, the demand for money based on the three important motives. Based on the three important motives. So demand for money based on the three important motives. First one is transaction motive. Second one, precautionary motive. And the another one is speculative motive. Why we are demanding the money? There are three reasons are there. Why public holding the money? There are three reasons are there. Okay. One is transactions motive. Second one is precautionary motive. And another one is speculative motive. Speculative motive. When we are talking about the transaction motive, people get income periodically. We are talking about transaction motive. Okay, they are getting income or wages, whatever it may be, they are getting regular income. So they want to keep some amount of money, whatever they are receiving. Okay, they want to keep some amount of money after whatever they are getting the income. So why? Because it is necessary to carry out for day-to-day transactions purpose, they want to keep some amount of money with the public. That is transaction motive. Coming to the precautionary motive, people want to keep again some amount of money from their income. Okay, from their income. It may be in terms of cash. Particularly, why they are keeping money means for future unexpected expenditures purpose. So people close the door. Close the door. So people, we're talking about the precautionary motive. Precautionary motive. So people want to keep some amount of money for future unexpected, or we can say that unforeseen conditions. They are keeping some amount of money. So that is precautionary motive. And coming to the speculative motive, this is also important motive. Third one, speculative. TPS. You have to remember TPS. T is transactive motive, P precautionary motive, and S is the speculative motive, because this is very important. That is what I'm repeating. So here, the speculative motive, speculators, they want to keep some amount of money for their assets or for their liquidity farm. They may be to get more profit or favorable situations to particularly speculative activities. So the share market investors, they want to invest more on shares. We are talking about speculative. Why they are investing on shares? To get more profit, right? So that is the reason why the demand for money in this context, depending upon the interest rate, because the demand for money, the money is demanded for all the motives. It is based on the liquidity preferences. There is a inverse relationship between demand for money and rate of interest. That you have to remember. Inverse relationship, not positive relationship. So when we are talking about inverse relationship between demand for money and rate of interest, when rate of interest is high, demand for money comes down or decreases. When rate of interest comes down or decrease, demand for money increases. That is the reason why there is a opposite direction, or there is an inverse relationship between rate of interest and a demand for money. So due to this reason, the demand curve, okay, particularly for money, demand curve slopes downward from left to right. Slopes downward slope from left to right. Why it is downward slope? Because demand for money and rate of interest, inverse relationship is there. One increase, another has to decrease. So that is the reason why it is downward slope from left to right. So the total demand for money, when we are talking about this, and the supply of money, okay, the supply of money particularly autonomously determined by the monetary authority. As we know that RBI, the Keynes assumes that the supply of money is to be fixed, which has gone, there is no relation with the rate of interest, which is not related to rate of interest. That we have to remember. I tell you with diagrammatically I'll show you. Sorry. This is y-axis and x-axis. Y-axis we measure rate of interest. Rate of interest. This is DD. This is M2 and M1. This is M1, M2, M. This one is M2. Right. This is R. R1. This is R1. So this one is E1, E2. We are talking about demand for money and supply of money. As I said, three motives: transaction motive, precautionary motive, third one is speculative motive. We discuss speculative motive. So from this diagram, the total demand for money, which is denoted with DD, okay, it shows the amount of money which are demanded at a different rate of interest. This DD, it is showing how much the amount demanded. Here in x-axis, demand for money, demand for money. So here DD, as I said, total demand for money, which is denoted with DD curve. This DD shows the amount of money which are particularly demanded at different rates of interest rate. Okay. So here MM is the money supply. The interest rate intersect at point E when we observe where rate of interest is fixed. Okay. When the supply of money OM, it increases to OM1. Okay. So the position of liquidity preferences demand curve also remaining the same. So rate of interest when it falls from OR to OR1. Okay. if the supply of money, what will happen? It comes from OM to OM2. OM2. Let's see. It came like this. Sorry. So from that diagram, we can clearly shows that when there is a increase in the interest rate, demand for money decreases. If the rate of interest decreases, demand for money increases. That is the reason why it is downward slope from left to right, that we have to remember. There is a criticism regarding this liquidity preference theory of interest. So Keynes has assumed that the level of income is given, rate of interest will be determined liquidity preference, demand for money based on, but the liquidity preference is determined by the level of income, supply of money also. So therefore it cannot be unknown or unless the income is known. When income is known, so without the supply of money, we cannot predict. That is one of the criticism from the liquidity preference theory. And the another one, Keynes assumes that the rate of interest is independent. So Keynes assumes that the rate of interest is independent. Keynes also pointed out that the rate of interest is independent, particularly for investment. Okay, so but it is not reality, because rate of interest, when we are telling independent, so the demand for investment funds, it is particularly when we are talking about the liquidity preference, it is only applicable again for the short run, because it explains only the factors which are more important for the short run. So that is the reason why he focused on only short run, this liquidity preference theory. This is also one of the criticism. So according to the other critics, interest rate not the reward for the pertaining of the liquidity, but it is the reward paid for the lender for the productivity of capital. Okay, so what is we are getting the interest rate? It is not the reward for the for the liquidity. It is particularly when we are talking about the reward for the lenders for the productivity of the capital, that we have to remember. The another criticism related to the Keynes, the theory only one-sided theory, because it assumes that money supply to be given in the monetary authority, but when we observe in a real life, it depends upon the number of factors are there, which are more assumed to be constant with the help of the theory. So it overall it fails to explain the complex of phenomenon of interest rate. This is related to the Keynes liquidity preference theory, which was given by J.M. Keynes in his famous book, The General Theory of Employment, Interest Rate and Money. Okay, he has given three types of motives: demand for money, three motives are there: precautionary motive, transaction motive, and speculative motive. This is all about the J.M. Keynes liquidity preference theory. So when we talk about the, another concepts, welfare economics, which is concerned with the choice among the various resources or allocation decisions, which deals the propositions or, different sources which are allocated to the decisions. And this welfare economics, it creates the alternative sources allocation decisions based on the efficiency, which are referring to the maximization of social welfare benefit, maximization of the social welfare. So according to the Pigou, AC Pigou, related to the welfare economics, Pigou defined the welfare economics that the part of the general welfare which can be, brought directly or indirectly relation to the measuring of the root of the, money. So according to the AC Pigou, as individuals' welfare that resides is, state, or what we can say that, made up with his, satisfaction. So the individual's welfare that can be, increased when he has better off, or we can say that, social welfare that implies that the aggregation of satisfaction or the utility of individuals in the society. So when we are aggregating, that is, all the individuals of society is satisfaction is welfare of the or social welfare. We can say that all the individuals satisfaction or utility. So cardinalist approach, the welfare has a serious flaw. It assumes that particularly, the individuals, they have, all identical unity functions, particularly for money. So that equal income distribution of all would be, have same marginal utility of money, according to AC Pigou. So Pigou gave a clear meaning about the welfare of the economics or welfare. He defined simply the individual's welfare as the sum of the satisfactions which are, obtained from the using or uses of goods and services. This satisfaction is derived from the goods and services. So social welfare is the summation or all the individuals' satisfaction obtained, all the individuals' welfare in this society. So in general welfare, it is very wide and complicated when we are talking about, which is, limited to study the welfare. So economic welfare, according to the Pigou, it implies that the satisfaction or the utility which is derived by the individuals from the uses of unexchangeable goods and services. That satisfaction or that utility is deriving from the goods and services. Okay, that is related to AC Pigou. So when we are talking about the general welfare and economic welfare, as when we observe it, the well-being of a man or welfare of a community is a thing of very, wider range. So welfare, it depends upon the several factors, some economic or some non-economic. According to Pigou, the limited ranges the inquiry at the scope of the welfare economics has given to only the factors. The general investigation that may be cause and effect to the general welfare. Okay, so economic welfare, that is a part of the welfare which can be brought directly or indirectly relation to the measures of the road money. So he considered that the part of welfare which can be put into the quantitative terms, the economic welfare in the sense the means of satisfaction which is derived particularly for the uses of goods and services. We can say that the exchange of goods and services. But when we are talking about the welfare economics, is a group of satisfaction. So which can be brought into the relation with the monetary measures that is related to the economic welfare. So in Pigu's view, economic welfare not only the subjective but also objective or material concept aspect. So here he explains that economic causes, it depends upon the economic welfare of any country, not directly but through the making uses of the objective counterpart of the economic welfare. So national income, as we know that it is measurable in terms of money. Therefore, Pigou argued that the concept when economic welfare particularly and national income, these two are the synonyms. So he argued that increase in the satisfaction, particularly which is derived from the goods and services, which leads to increase the total welfare. That you have to remember. So therefore, the important aspect from the Pigou or Pigovian analysis, the welfare is the distinction between the general welfare and the economic welfare. It is related to the AC Pigu's view. What are the causes affecting the economic welfare? Pigou, he has written a book, Economics of Welfare. He has given three important causes which are affect the economic welfare. Three reasons are there. So one is the size of the national dividend, and the second one is distribution of national dividend and the variability of national dividend according to the AC's figure. So as per the effects of various, the national income divided into economic welfare, which is concerned particularly, the Pigou argues that the terms of per capita income. According to Pigou, general income as per the capital national that goes to increase the income of the welfare. So welfare is a subjective thing because therefore it does not follow any increase in per capita. You can say that national dividend as well as economic welfare. So there is an increase in per capita income, that dividend may be obtained at the cost of high, or what we can say that the rule which can be additional to the national dividend, that you have to remember. And the another concept, causes of divergences between private and social cost and returns. There are private products that diverse from the social product due to existence of external economies or diseconomies that may be leading to the divergences between private and social welfare or social cost and benefits. So there are various reasons are there. One of the important reason is external diseconomies of the production. So external diseconomies of the production, which leads to divergences between private and social cost and returns. When the production of a commodity or services by from the firm that affects diversely or negatively or adversely to the firms in the industry according to the ACPGU. So ACPGU has considered one example of air pollution. It explains these divergences. Suppose the factory is situated in a residential or polluted area that emits a smoke. That smoke from the factory spoils the cloth and cleaning houses, hold articles and cleaning rooms, painting of buildings and enhances medical expenditures. So the external diseconomies on production also influencing. External economies of consumption also. So it is also affecting particularly on consumption. As we know that consumption, the external economies of consumption rises from non-market and interdependence. So an increase in the consumption of a good or satisfaction, they may enjoy with the different consumers. And that is one side. So when the individuals they install TV set and satisfaction of their neighbors increase, when they are their children views and various programs, that will leads to increase. External diseconomies and consumption. This is also negative side. When the consumption of goods and services of the consumer, they confers the disadvantage or that affect adversely by the consumption pattern, and their decisions are on the consumers. It is particularly an external diseconomies of the consumption, especially that rises in this case, particularly it may be fashion or articles, particularly on the consumption side. And also the case of public goods and remedies also there. PIGU favored that the state inference or the state's action whenever these divergences are occur, he suggests that the use of taxes or subsidies, particularly other controlled variables to connect the to get equilibrium or to correct the divergences which are based on the externalities on production side or consumption side. So to control that, social control measures are there, tax and boundaries are there. So the PIGU suggests that social control measures to be attained, identical or ideal output that are, that are up to get the optimum welfare of the people. That is related to the social welfare function. The another one is new welfare economics, Pareto optimality. This is also very important. The Pareto optimality criterion. As you know, the Pareto optimality is a social optimum. Pareto optimum is a position, not only the maximum efficiency, but also the maximum welfare, but also maximum welfare. This criterion, Pareto criterion, particularly it explains the economic efficiency in a objectivity manner. It is called as Pareto criteria or Pareto optimality. According to this criterion, the changes in the at least one individual, that changes are at least one individual better off and no one worse off, and improvement in the welfare or social welfare. So that is the main motto. According to him, the changes make at least one individual is better off without any worse off of the another individual. So the changes that makes no one is better off and at least one worse off is decrease in a social welfare. That we have to remember. So this criteria particularly can be stated some in different way. The situation in which it is impossible to make anyone better off without making someone is worse off. That we have to remember. According to Pareto optimality or according to Pareto efficient. Any changes or any improvement as well as at least one individual without lowering the well-being, okay, without any loss, without lowering any well-being. So automatically the desirable changes, we call it as Pareto efficiency or Pareto optimality. Okay. So Pareto criteria, we can say that it can be tell us whether the state or whether the welfare has increased when some policy or proposal make at least one person better off. Okay. So without making any worse off, that we have to remember. So Pareto optimality simply it involves efficiency with the using of in a proper available resources. Okay, the economy that may not at a optimum, so that someone can be made better off without any being made worse off. Okay, that we have to remember. And this suggestion, particularly the resources are not using that may be most efficiency, and because potentially or more social welfare can be optimized from them. So according to Pareto, it can be reached optimum. The opportunities for further efficiency that may be gained and do not exist. That we have to remember. So the Pareto optimality, the situation in an economy, three marginal conditions are there. Three marginal conditions that must be, can be satisfied. That satisfaction must be there. According to the Pareto optimality, there are three conditions are there. Efficiency of distribution of commodities among the consumers. So we can say that efficiency in exchange. The another one is efficiency of allocation, distribution of commodities among the consumers. And if, that mean what does it mean? Sufficient commodities are available for the existing people. And the efficiency of allocation of factors among the farms, production is efficient here. The another one is efficiency in the allocation of factors among the commodities. The production or mix, we can say that composition of output with the help of the factors of production. So these marginal conditions that can be satisfied for attaining the efficiency in exchange, particularly this exchange is optimum level. Okay, so efficiency in production, efficiency in the product mix, we say that general optimization, and efficiency in the allocation of factors of production. Okay, these are efficient and three conditions to get maximum satisfaction. New welfare economics and its assumptions. When we observe new welfare economics and its assumptions, from this, for short, anyone definitely we may come for new welfare economics. As we know that welfare economics and its assumptions, the compensation principle, which is based on the certain assumptions, tastes of the individuals are constant, tastes and preferences are constant, satisfaction of individuals is independent of others, is also best judge of his welfare, and utility can be measured ordinarily, and the interpersonal compensation of utility are not possible to desirable. And also the another assumption, there exist no externalities of consumption and production. And last assumption is that the problems, particularly from the production and exchange, that can be separated from the problems of the distribution. These are the assumptions of new welfare economics. There are some criteria are there: Calder's criteria, Hicks criteria. Okay, so when we are talking about Nicholas Calder, he was the first economist to give welfare criterion based on the compensation payment. So according to Calder, if a certain changes or change in economic organization or policy that makes some people are better off and the others are worse off, so then the changes will be increase social welfare if those who gain from the changes could compensate the losses or losers. Okay, so still there will be no better off than the before due to certain economic policy changes. So for example, state A is socially preferable to state B if those who gain from the A can compensate with losses and with respect to accepting state A. So in the words of Professor Baumal and Calder's view criterion, they states that particularly the changes that are improvement, but if the who can gain more, okay, to evaluate their gains at a higher figure, that values when the others are losers. Okay, so according to the Calder concentrated only the economic decisions that bases his recommendation on efficiency considerations only. That we have to remember. Coming to the Hicks criterion. Hicks held the Calder's criterion as more suitable for welfare economics. That can be that utility foundation provided by the Marshall and ACP group that related to Calder's for employing the compensation principle to evaluate the social welfare. Okay. So here state A again socially preferable to state B. If those who would last from the A, they cannot compensate. So they have tried to, they should made those who are likely to be suffer these losses. If their existing allocation resources are, they can exchange. So in other words, we can simply say that the changes which are improvement, at least the losers in the changes or the situation cannot be preferable. So that gains not the changes from the original situation. Hicks have argued and given his criteria from the last point of view, and while the Calder has given the formulated his criteria based on the gainers view. This is related to Hicks and Calder's view. In last class, I have given you some important questions. Maximum you prepare that questions that will help for you 99%. Most of the questions will come from that only. Almost 2 or 3 4 minutes are there. Do you have any queries or any what do you want to ask? You want to ask anything? Because today is the last class. You can ask anything related to the or you can text. Questions చెప్పాను.
ఆ క్వశ్చన్ కి ఇందులో నెంబర్ 14 డ్రాఫ్ట్ ఉంది సార్. ఆన్సర్ మీరు షార్ట్ ఆన్సర్ చెప్పారు, ఆన్సర్ చాలా లాంగ్ ఉంది సార్.
మీరు రైట్, మీరు ఎట్లా అంటే మీరు ఎకనామిక్స్ ఫస్ట్ particularly the second semester it is based on the almost all the chapters based on diagram, right? If there are concept ని ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయండి, అజంప్షన్స్ ఉంటే అజంప్షన్స్ చూడండి, తర్వాత డయాగ్రామ్ దాని ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మోనోపోలీ గురించి మనం డిస్కస్ చేసినాం లాస్ట్ క్లాస్. వాట్ ఈజ్ మోనోపోలీ, వాట్ ఆర్ ద క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ ఆర్ ఫీచర్స్ ఆఫ్ మోనోపోలీ, ఓకే, అండ్ హౌ ది మోనోపోలీ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఇన్ షార్ట్ రన్ అండ్ లాంగ్ రన్. షార్ట్ రన్కి వచ్చేసరికి దేర్ మే బి it may be abnormal profit, normal profit and losses short run, but in the long run only supernormal profit, that is abnormal profit. If you practice the diagram, these three more than enough. You have to explain the diagram. Say monopolistic కూడా అంతే. ఇంకా దానికంటే ముందు ఉన్నటువంటి లెసన్ ఏది పర్ఫెక్ట్ కాంపిటీషన్. సో పర్ఫెక్ట్ కాంపిటీషన్ ఆల్సో same. How the price is determined, what are the characteristics or features, we can say that short run and long run. ఇంకా
షట్ డౌన్ పాయింట్ అంటే కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ షట్ డౌన్ పాయింట్ అంటే ఏం రాయాలి సార్?
షట్ డౌన్ పాయింట్
కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ షట్ డౌన్ పాయింట్.
కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ షట్ డౌన్ పాయింట్ at least price of the product, it equals to variable కి at least సమానంగా ఉండాలి. If the price reduces from that particular point, then the firm will get losses. Okay, సో అది ఒకసారి మీరు చూసుకోండి. షార్ట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏవైతే ఇచ్చానో అవి మోర్ దెన్ ఎనఫ్. డయాగ్రామ్స్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి. క్లోజ్ చేస్తున్నా.
సార్ ఎకనామిక్స్ ఏంటంటే ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయండి సార్. సార్ లెఫ్ట్ అయిపోయారు.